You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the White Cane Coffee Cafe. That's White Cane Coffee Presents Coffee and a Conversation. This week, we have multiple guests. We've got Sarah Provencio and Zach Robinson from Warren County Pride. It is Pride Day here in Warren County. So after you've taken a watch or listened to our conversation, head on down to Betts Park for Warren County Pride. Take part in all of the festivities. And before you do that, or maybe even while you're down there, hit up White Cane Coffee for a fresh cup of coffee. And as the temperature rises, they've got some frozen lemonade, iced mocha as well. Cafe is open in the plaza across from Tops. And if you don't want to deal with the construction downtown, White Cane's also available online on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also get your favorite roasted brew at home online at whitecanecoffee.com. And Zach, Sarah, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I know this is a big day for you guys. It is Warren County Pride, and it seems like this event just gets bigger and bigger every year.
Thank you. Yes, we're pretty excited to be here, and today is going to be a big day again. So we do like that it is, in fact, getting much bigger than it used to be.
Happy Pride. We're excited.
Yay.
And so this was an event that started locally here, was just a handful of people, if I recall correctly, at George Washington Park right there.
General Warren Park?
General Warren.
There's the one.
Yes, see,
it's just a tiny little triangle of a park, and it was a tiny little crew full of kids from the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance at Beatty Middle School, who wanted to do something for Pride Month, and that was open-ended. So they kind of just got together and had a little, almost like a mini street fair. They had pizzas and bottled water and some balloons and some signs, and everybody had a good time, but it was just a handful of kids who decided that it needed to be a thing. And then the year after that, we moved to Betts Park thinking we would have more people, and we had nearly 1,000 people that year. Some would estimate even more.
Yeah. And that was over at the DeFries Pavilion by the tennis courts, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
It was on the DeFries Pavilion side of Betts Park. And then since then, we expected to get even bigger and move to the other side park. So.
And now you're just taking up all of the park. Pretty much, yeah. I think that whole West End from about the boat launch over to basically where people would enter the park coming down Ludlow Street, there right by the Route 6
exit. If you get to Betts Park, you'll find it. We are most of it today.
You will be very difficult to miss if you find your way down at Betts Park. But what does that say to you about just this community in general, that Pride has been able to grow so quickly from this small little event at Joseph Warren Park to this major happening, that people are coming not just from the county or the general region, but nationally to come be a part of this?
It says to me that there's a need and a desire for that sense of community to extend from the people of Warren to the people of Warren County, to Erie and Jamestown and Buffalo and Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And it's broader and broader in terms of the audience that we're attracting. And it makes it feel like Warren is a really welcoming place. And that makes me real proud of Warren.
Yeah, I mean, me, myself, being a part of the LGBTQ community, I never really felt like Warren had anything for me years ago. But now I feel like we've progressed a lot. And the fact that we have a Pride that's grown so much in the past few years is just making me feel more welcome here, or make me feel more safe where I live. It just, it's a really good feeling. So.
Well, I've often heard from people who said, even as early as 10 years ago, that Pride would maybe not have been welcomed as readily as it has been over the last few years here in our community. Again, what does that say to you guys about just the growth that we've seen in our little corner of the world when it comes to LGBTQ acceptance?
I think that the younger folks are going to take over the world, and it's time. And that's important because there are younger folks who are going to teach older folks how to be accepting. And I think when we talk about small town ideals, one of them is your right to privacy, and one of them is your right to free speech, and one of them is your right to live your life how you want. And that's what the LGBTQ community wants. That's still a small town value.
And so, Zach, you mentioned you're a member of the LGBTQ community. How did you get involved with the Pride event, and what drew you to this event and want to be a part of it?
I was affiliated, I'm a queer woman. I was affiliated with the middle school through Friends of Friends, and I got invited to help them plan that first one in General Warren Park. So with that, we kind of just all stuck together and glommed on more people to our group, and I kept going from there.
Yeah.
So I like being able to build the community for myself and for others.
And Zach, how did you get involved with the event itself, and what drew you to this event?
Well, it was the second year we did it that they approached me being a drag performer. They asked me, because I live here in Warren, they asked me to perform. So I got myself and another friend from Jamestown, and we were the only two queens that first year. But last year, we got more people. We had performers from Pittsburgh. This year we have some from Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So it's what started with two of us performing is now up to I think there's 8 of us now, probably. So, I mean, I wanted to be a part of it just to show my support for the gay community and where I live. So, yeah.
And even though the performances have grown, you still got to be the top name on the marquee, right?
Well, yeah, of course. I am Miss Jessica Rabbit, Warren's drag superstar, apparently. So, yeah.
And so, do you have an approximate time that you'll be on if people want to come down and see you perform today?
Yeah, we start the show at 12:30.
11:30.
11:30 and 2:30. So
Okay.
we do have 2 separate shows this afternoon. So yeah, and see if you can recognize me while you're down there.
So, talk about some of the other scheduled events that are happening. I know you guys always bring in some great keynote speakers and have a bunch of vendor tables and other events going on. So, what else can people expect when they go to Pride today?
Our event will open at 11 in the morning with a speaker from the local chapter of the ACLU, Maggie Watts. And she is a champion for justice, and we're happy to have her. And then later in the day, we'll have a local politician from Erie, local-ish, to talk about the importance of voting in general and voting local. Don't just wait for your national election. Vote every time you get the chance, because that's your chance to be heard.
Wholeheartedly endorse that perspective. By the way, that's one of the big things that we try to tell people on Your Daily Local all the time is get out, and these municipal and county elections are so much more important than anything at even the state level, much less the national level. So yes, absolutely, we back that perspective 100%. Get out and vote.
And in addition to the speakers, we will have plenty of things that are entertaining. In between speakers and performances, there will be a DJ running all afternoon and a dance floor, and you're welcome to bring lawn chairs and blankets if you want to sit out. There will be food trucks there all day, White Cane included. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be there today. So we'll have plenty of things to purchase if you want to support the vendors who will be there selling their wares. And it's anything from jewelry to handcrafted items and fine art, pottery. If there's something there that interests you, I'm sure you'll find it. There will also be nonprofit agencies there discussing the things. They'll have their own little tables discussing the things that they do for the community. Some mental health agencies. There will be adoptable pets there through a couple of different agencies. So a lot to see and a lot to do. YMCA is coming out, and they'll have bouncy houses there for kids. So that's exciting. We're happy to have them again this year, and we appreciate their support.
Right next to the adoptable pets, right?
I hope so. Just to create havoc.
Just to make sure that I can't take my kids to the bounce house because the adoptable pets will be there. But again, you talk about some of the vendors, and so many of these vendors are local, which is always also something else that we support wholeheartedly. It's shop local, buy local. But you're again getting a lot of vendors from outside the area, and like you mentioned, places like Buffalo and Erie. And again, how important is that? Not just from a pride perspective, but from a community perspective. We're getting these vendors in, and they're seeing not just that we're able to have an event like this and it's inclusive and people are accepting of it, but we're kind of showing off the county at the same time.
We absolutely are. And I think that that's one of the things we're very proud of. We were awarded a small grant from the Warren Visitors Bureau, the County Visitors Bureau, to conduct advertising because they felt that we were worthy of it because we brought people to Warren County. And I think it's great that we're getting vendors coming to us, asking us, hey, do you have a spot? Can we come vend at your event? We're not reaching out and we're not asking, they're asking us. And I think that helps a lot. It shows that Warren is a welcoming place, like you said, and we're bringing dollars into Warren County as an event. These folks come and they stay and they eat and they enjoy the evening. They'll go to another event later on, or they'll stay at a hotel nearby, or they'll invest back into Warren some of the funds that our patrons are giving to them.
Right.
So it's all a mutually beneficial thing, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure as people are walking around, and anybody who's not from there, what's there to do around here? Where can we go get something to eat that's maybe not a food truck? And because a lot of these vendors are going from event to event, and I'm sure you get a little food trucked out at times. But again, it seems like it's a great opportunity to just let these people who are coming in and maybe seeing the county for the first time know about oh, hey, there's this great spot where you can go for a hike, or we've got this quaint little restaurant over here. You've got to try their food's phenomenal, and things of that nature. And it, like you said, it's a mutually beneficial experience for everybody. And again, how much does that help grow your event because these people then, if they like it, right, are probably going and telling their friends, right?
Absolutely. We've gotten vendor after vendor who invites another because they have their community,
right? Yeah,
and they'll definitely do the circuit and recognize each other. And if they hear of a good one that gets good customers that are friendly and happy to have you, and it's a good, they'll invite their vendor friends. And we're not trying to make it a shopping fair, but it's a thing that's there if you want it. There's also face painting there if you want it. There will be a table that's Magic the Gathering. So if you're that kind of person and you know how to play, even if you don't know how to play, somebody will teach you a real easy deck. But I think there will definitely be something for everyone. Pet costume contest, human costume contest, truly a little bit of everything. Just a good way to spend the afternoon being together and being community.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back with Zach and Sarah from Warren County Pride after this quick message.
The only thing worse than being stuck at home is being stuck at home without coffee. We can't let that happen. Browse our selection and order online. From sweet to tangy, hot or iced, we have something for you. White King Coffee, because every cup makes a difference. Cheers.
And welcome back to the White Cane Coffee Cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Our guest this week, Zach Robertson, Sarah Provencio from Warren County Pride. And Sarah, you mentioned, one of the tables that's going to be at the event today, or maybe a couple of them, are going to be mental health related. And, we're seeing so much societally, not just within the LGBTQ community, but with younger folks in general, about some of the mental health issues that they're facing. And so how important was it for you guys as a group to make sure that those resources are on hand at your event?
We love to have those agencies available just so that people know they're available. If I don't know where to go and I'm having a mental health issue, that's a tragedy and it's not necessary, especially in today's day and age where we can simply Google and find help. But having these agencies that focus on mental health here at our event says to me that the LGBTQ community is important to them. And they recognize that there's a deficit in services sometimes because people are afraid to seek services because they don't want to be judged, because they had a domestic violence issue, but their partner's the same gender as them.
Yeah.
Or because they had a rough breakup and their partner is a trans person.
Mhm.
And how do you know that your therapist is going to be okay with that?
Right.
Because some will not be. But we've got agencies here that are supportive and are vetted and will help. So that's to me speaks volumes.
And what have you guys seen? I mean, personally, within your own experiences, as far as the perception and the acceptance level of mental health providers, like, as you said, there's still some who maybe are not going to be accepting of, hey, I've got this issue and my partner's the same gender or transgender or whatever. But how has that changed that you guys have seen within the community over time?
Slowly, but I think it's a microcosm of average society out there. It's just its own subset, and being aware that there are some good ones and some that aren't on board yet is important. And it takes time sometimes to find the right match, but being able to have sort of a resource fair section like this, where we already know a good jumping off point that these therapists are on and these agencies are on board, we can go from there and eliminate that as a possible cause for conflict between you and your mental health provider.
And I saw the other day, I think it was last week, Pittsburgh had its Pride Parade, and new Governor Josh Shapiro was, kind of speaking about how proud he was to be the first sitting governor to march in the Pittsburgh Pride Parade. And how important, again, is it for you guys within the community to see, somebody at the level of the state governor coming out and showing their support for the LGBTQ community?
I'm real excited about it. I'm glad that we were able to get some important political figures in years past, and with an election year coming up, a larger election year next year, then we might be getting some more speakers that are at that caliber. And having support at every level is important to us, because I think the larger levels almost go without saying. At this point that you show some level of support for the community in order to move forward in office for most places, and that's good. When we get down to the local state rep level, even it may or may not be important, and that's tragic to me. I think that at every level the representation needs to be there, because when you sign up to be a public official, you agree to represent the public, and I am a queer member of the public.
And so how do you kind of enact that change? I mean, obviously we talked a little earlier about, just the importance of voting in elections, and, aside from changing candidates, maybe how do you approach, current officials who, like you said, are at that level that maybe aren't as accepting or understanding, and try to change that perspective and cultivate them as an ally?
It's hard to change anyone's mind. It truly is. It's not always possible. I think we all have a friend or family member who will say something like, I love you, but.
Right.
And right there, the red flags come up, and that's the end of the conversation. So one at a time, you can try. You can try your best to change the hearts and the minds by being yourself, and by being confident, and by being comfortable in your own skin. Always call, always ask your representatives, where do you stand on this? It is important to me because, and get your answer. And if you don't get the answer you want, you don't hear that person ever again, and you tell your friends and family not to.
Oh, excuse me. Apologize for that. And again, I think it just, like you said, though, it speaks to how that mindset societally maybe is changing. Again, in an area like this that it's very rural, very conservative for the most part, to see your event grow to the point that it has grown in such a short amount of time, do you think that makes those conversations maybe a little bit easier? Are they more, I don't know if easier is the right word. are people more willing to at least have the conversation now than maybe they were in the past?
I would say, yeah. Um, I think just seeing the amount of people that have showed up at our Pride event just the last few years really just shows that there are a lot of supportive people in the community. And I think having something like Pride in this small town just shows that we're not alone sometimes. Especially when there's legislations and things going on in the United States right now, like banning drag and things like that. It's important to show that we as a community are standing together, and show that we as a group can show that we can fight for things that we believe in. So I think it's important to show that as a community we can show our support. And if nobody else does, at least we have each other, and that shows a lot for our community here, I think. So.
I think so. It definitely opens up the conversation. Whereas before, if you have a gay cousin, it's a distant cousin.
Right.
If you have someone you've heard of that you went to high school with, it seems like it's like off in the clouds somewhere. And this is your neighbor. This is your neighbor. This is the person who's at the counter at whatever business. These are our community members. We know each other. It's not a foreign concept or someone from way over there. It's
Right.
someone that's in our life, in our family, in our community. And when you see someone you know and love being affected by adverse legislation, maybe you'll care a little more.
Last year's event, there was at least one of the vendors was from I believe the local county Republicans group, and generally speaking, not in favor of a lot of pro LGBTQ legislation or policies. But again, how important was it to have them at your event and really, again, on the local level, to kind of see, hey, this is who we are, and this is what we're about, and this is what the actual event entails, and maybe not some of the things that are being said, on some of the cable news networks and things like that. Kind of those fear-mongering things, and really say, this is who we are and this is what we're about, and this is why we need to have the conversation.
Absolutely. It is a conversation opener, like we were just talking about. We did have them there last year, a group of Republicans, and we also had a group of Democrats, and that it's important for everyone to know that they're welcome and invited. I reached out to the Republicans again myself this year, just a month or more ago, and I didn't get a response back, so I'm not sure that they'll be coming to our event today, but they were invited, and happy to have them any future events. There are people who are gay, who are Republican.
Right.
And it is what it is, and that's their political views, and those are the people that they align their voting with, and that's fine. There are also gay Democrats,
Right.
and there are also the unregistered, and that's important too.
Right, yeah.
We will have the League of Women Voters present,
Mhm.
so that they can help people, whatever your party affiliation or none. They'll help people get registered to vote.
Right.
So I think that what's important is putting the issues out there, discussing them with each other, being able to find common ground when and where we can, and moving forward from there as much as possible.
So, in your opinion, and obviously feel free to have differing opinions on this, but what do you think right now, as we stand here today, is the most important issue facing the LGBTQ community? I cannot spit that out today. I don't know why. I haven't had enough coffee, I guess. I'll have to get White Cane to refill here. But what do you guys think is the most important issue facing the community today?
Right now, I think it's important to have that sense of community, because especially being in a rural area, it's difficult to find people sometimes. Sometimes it can be downright scary being a gay person in a rural community, and that's not right. No one should be scared. So I think that, especially for today's event, the biggest issue, and we're doing this to resolve it, is to try to find community.
I agree. I think just me myself living here for 20 plus years, not having a place here before or feeling like I didn't belong in this town because of who I was. But then the last few years, I felt a little bit more of a sense of peace about that. And I know other people, and especially middle school and high school kids that have approached me and said how they liked having something like this because it makes them feel supported when because that's a hard time to come out, and that's what they need right now is community. So I think it is important to
And I think circling back to what you said, that this whole event, why we're sitting here today talking about this, was started by a group of students.
It was.
Again, how much does that just the youth kind of enthusiasm and energy to say, hey, this is who we are and this is who we're going to be, and we're not going to be ashamed to show that, and we want to have an event, to celebrate ourselves. How much of that enthusiasm and energy spreads as the event grows and allows it to get bigger?
I like it. I like it a lot. It is a big part to have the youthful enthusiasm there. And I think that we all understand that being in junior high and being in high school is not always fun. It's scary
Right.
by itself,
Yeah.
but to be a queer kid in junior high and in high school makes it even harder.
Right.
So being able for them to come and enjoy a space where they can hold hands, or they can just be, or dress all in rainbow and wear rainbow makeup and be ridiculous, and it's fine.
Right.
That's what we're here for. That's exactly what we're here for. And at the same token, it's nice to see older couples, because, and that's something that surprised me in one of the last events, just being able to be themselves. I kind of had the heart for the kids, and the kids are gonna, and then as you walk in, you can see people who are lifelong couples, and they're in their 40s or 50s or older even, just kind of maintaining space between each other and standing sort of in a natural way away from each other just a little bit. But the further and further they walked down the aisles into the event, they got closer and closer together, and you could see them holding hands by the time they're at the end of the first row, and they're relaxing into their own skin, and that's what we're here for. That meant the world to me, and I didn't expect to be touched by the old folks in that same way,
Right.
and that was
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see that.
Does it seem like there's kind of a generational aspect to this? Like you said, that some of the older couples where they're almost conditioned to, we're out in public and we need to be apart, and whereas some of those younger couples who maybe haven't experienced as much of the discrimination and the bigotry are more comfortable just being out in public, being themselves.
I hope so, because I want it to be better for the younger folks. I know that it's more difficult for the older folks, just from my own experience. I'm 40-something now, but it's important that life is easier for the younger folks, because we owe it to them to make it easier. If we had a difficult road, then it's our responsibility to try to make the load a little lighter for the future. And if it is better for the younger folks, good. That's how it should be. And they should make it even lighter for the next set of kids coming up.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. I'm also in my 40s. But I would agree. I think just the kids themselves that are now don't realize how bad it was, years ago. And some of the things that I went through, they're not going to have to go through now. I would much rather have the next generation have it easier, or have a little bit more of a smoother way to come out and be comfortable with it than I did. So yeah, I think that is important. Yeah, and I love seeing just people being themselves, expressing themselves, no matter what gender, how they identify, they're comfortable in that space that we're having today, and that's what's important too, is just having that.
And so obviously today's the big day. You've got the Pride is going on, starts at 11 a.m.
It starts at 11. We've
that-
got people there now setting up. We had people there last night setting up. So
Down at Betts Park on the western end by the boat launch there. So come down, take part in the event itself. You got food trucks, you got vendors, you're gonna have some shows, some speakers, places to play for the kids. But so what does the future hold for this event? How do you make it grow and get even bigger in the years to come?
In the years to come, we'd like to get bigger, and with becoming physically bigger in terms of having more attendees, we have more expenses. So for example, this year, because we have an anticipated attendance that's even greater than last, we needed to go and hire additional dumpster rental, porta potties, and security. So with more people comes more costs. So we will be doing some fundraising throughout the year to get up and running for 2024. We're hoping to get some bigger name speakers, and those come with a cost too.
Right.
But we'd like to really make 2024 a big event. So we're gonna be reaching out and looking for some sponsorships and seeing how best we can do that.
You mentioned the dumpsters and the kind of the down and dirty side of creating an event. Yeah, well, right. Yeah, you gotta throw your trash somewhere. You gotta use the restroom. But were those some of the things that as you started kind of getting into organizing this event that maybe kind of surprised you, like, oh yeah, we've got to do this, and we've got to make sure there's that, or what were maybe some of the other things that were a little like you just don't, as an attendee, that maybe you just don't think about when you become a planner?
A lot of mechanics. I'm good with event planning. I've done a lot of corporate fundraising for various nonprofits, but I did it in Los Angeles in the air conditioning. So having an event at a park is altogether different in terms of there's grass and there's asphalt.
Yeah.
And that's it. Maybe some picnic tables and a pavilion.
Yeah.
What do we do with all these things? We're going to need to bring in this, and this. How to get the food trucks to the spots where the power is.
Right.
It's its own thing. So outdoor events it's a learning curve.
What do you do if it rains?
We've talked to other organizations that have events at Betts Park in particular and said, how do you do this? Where do you plug that? Things like that. The city's been pretty helpful in getting us connected to this or that. And it's a lot of ticky-tack things, but we're getting it worked out.
Where to space the vendors and all stuff is
just grass.
It's just grass. Yeah.
I mean, do you sit there with a little plot map and say, okay, we're gonna cordon off this area will be the stage and this?
We have a map and there's chalk lines and spray paint on the grass or whatever. Just something that you can delineate flags, I think. It's
flags,
it's
and then you put a little sign in. Okay, this is gonna be
square.
your vendor, and this is gonna be your. Do you run into issues with some of the vendors or anything when they get there and they say, oh, I don't want to be next to them, or this isn't a great spot for me, can we move it?
There's vendor beef,
right?
We've tried to get it so that we have a good variety of vendors. There's not a lot of overlap in terms of the types of wares that they sell, and then we try to space them out so there's a little of this here and a little of this here, and we've put a lot of thought into where everybody goes. We don't necessarily know the personal relationship, so if there is vendor beef, they're probably going to have to work that out between each other. But I think we've done a pretty good job of making sure everybody gets a nice space that they'll be visible and accessible and have a nice time.
And so this is why when my wife and I got married, we didn't bother with we're going to assign seats. We were like, I don't know who's going to be mad at who today. Just sit, outside. Okay, this is our parents and this is our siblings, and everybody else just have at it. I mean, is that kind of the approach you just have to take with it and just say, okay, we'll draw this one out of a hat. Oh, okay, this is this person's selling jewelry. Okay, where's our other jewelers? All right, we'll put one over here.
It is a little bit deliberate in that sense. We don't want the jewelry right next to the jewelry right next to, so there's a variety, but it's spaced out in the sense that you're not hitting jewelry row and then hitting fine art row and then pottery row. It's a little here and a little there, so we can not go numb to one thing and see a little of each.
Okay. All right. So before we wrap up here, I'm sure obviously some folks down there are anxious to get you guys down there and helping with the final preparations here this morning. But
getting dragged.
Yeah. So I assume I'm going to know what the answer is for you, but What are you guys most looking forward to at the event today? What's your favorite part of Warren County Pride?
Oh my goodness. I'm really excited for the DJ. She's coming out of Pittsburgh and she's good. She's really good. I think that her volunteering her time, she goes and she's cool. I like the work that she does. I'm not like a dance party expert or anything, but I really like the vibe that she sets, and she knows how to read the crowd and how to make sure everybody there is having a good time. So even if it's just background noise, it's good background noise. So I'm excited for that.
Zach?
Well, I'm excited for the performances.
Yeah.
But I'm also
I'm shocked.
Yeah. Surprising? No, but I am excited just to see the amount of people we get this year too. We also we're gonna have meet and greets after the performances with the queens. So if you all want to get your picture taken with us, we'll be available. We're also having drag bingo for tonight too. So lots going on, and it's all family friendly too.
Yes.
Just so you know, no risque things, no
Right.
bad music. It's all family friendly, so everybody can enjoy it. That was important to us to make sure that we had a family friendly pride. But I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
All right. Well, I will let you guys get back to it. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Zach and Sarah, on Coffee and a Conversation. Don't forget to head down to Best Park all day today, Warren County Pride on the west end of the park by the boat launch. Head on down there. Have yourself a good time. Your Daily Local will be down there covering the event as well. So make sure you tune into yourdailylocal.com for full coverage of Warren County Pride. And thank you so much for tuning in today on Coffee and a Conversation. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.